In a world filled with uncertainty, two semi-intelligent, somewhat interesting, Midwestern, Family Guy, business coaches with dad bods provide mildly insightful ideas through their semi-focused dialogue. Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Greetings to you, Mike Marshall.
Greetings, Ramsey.
That was weird. Well, anyway, we've hit about 25 episodes. We've done. So, I know. Yeah, let's give ourselves a moment to appreciate that. We did a little research on our statistics, our metrics of who's watching, and
I prefer the word analysis.
Yes, we analyzed. We analyzed so hard, and what we found out is that while we are growing in popularity, we also have some episodes that remain popular from the earliest podcasts that we've done to now. And Mike, as you and I have both researched, they all have to do with habit and change. Improving yourself or improving your organization, but just it's difficult to change. And so we've talked about this before, but as we were looking at these statistics, you pointed out that there was a really good book and a really good model for talking about change at a little more granular level. And oh my, if you're watching the video, you now see that Mike has the book in his hands. So Mike, tell us about this.
Oh yeah, this is Leading Change by John Kotter. It's a Harvard Business Review book. You can actually tell if you look at it carefully, it's faded. I've had it since 1996.
Beautiful.
So this became just kind of the change Bible, just for. And the approach that I like it is incredibly smart man, but incredibly simplistically written. That I got it, and when I explain it to other folks, they get it. So
it doesn't take a genius.
It doesn't take a genius. So he was right where we needed to be, and he breaks it down. There's just 8 things, and it's he studied Fortune 100 companies. He studied small efforts. And he's just looked and said, okay, what are the patterns when people are trying to change that are successful? And I also like it because he talks about it from the negative. This is why it doesn't change. Right. And here's the 8 reasons why your transformation falls short.
Yeah. And so you'll notice just in what you said, dear viewers and listeners, that a lot of this has to do with habits. And if you have been paying attention to previous episodes, what I noticed, when I was going through doing sort of research for this show, Mike, is that this is almost like the change formula that we have covered in an earlier episode, but really like exploded and at a granular level. So if you're looking for block and tackle things to do to, go about having dissatisfaction with the present and having a vision for the future and having next steps, they're going to be covered over the next, we're going to guess 3 episodes. We're going to cover the first 3 items today and then talk about the rest in the future. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Mike, the first 3 have to do with creating that climate for change. So what's the first issue, the first failure point? Tell us about failure, Mike.
Yeah. The first failure point, and if you're looking online, it's Kotter's Why Transformation Efforts Fail. And so that's how you'll find it online. And error number 1, right? Not establishing a great enough sense of urgency. And so, we see this all the time. The person in charge has access to information, access to other leaders, access to industry, trends and things like that, access to financial data that maybe the managers, the middle managers, and the team members don't have. And so they're laying awake at night going, this trend is just alarming, or here's something that we could take tremendous advantage of. I see where our business could go.
Right.
And so they wake up and they're all excited. They have this sense of urgency, and then they realize no one around them has it. No, everybody else is, because everybody's busy every single minute of the day,
Right.
and they're working on business. They're working on, just day-to-day stuff. And so the leader's over here with he's on fire, his hair's on fire, he's running around in circles, starting to think about what it could be.
Yeah.
Nobody else is with him.
Right. Right. And you see this so often in our line of work. The business may be hemorrhaging money. The department is the net profit is in the negative, and everybody's paid off of gross profit, and my pay hasn't changed, so I don't even realize there's an issue unless somebody in leadership is communicating and pointing out the problems. One of the ones that comes to mind for us is how Carvana has entered the automotive retail world. And whether or not Carvana succeeds, hard to say. All the tools that they have, except for that cute little vending machine car dispenser that they're building everywhere. All of my car dealerships that I call upon have all the tools, the same ability to research market pricing and so on and so forth. And also they have a service department. But they all have some sort of money back guarantee if it comes down to it. But bottom line is Carvana entered the market saying, we think we can market ourselves as we're not a car dealer. And so many stores that I've talked to their people, like when I start bringing it up, it gets kind of tense in the room. They start getting kind of shifty eyed saying, we've got to do something different to counter that in our marketplace.
Oh, definitely. And so you see that sense of urgency from the upstart, and you always talk about, you got to watch out for the guy in his garage, because he's going to take your lunch money. But they have that sense of urgency where the guy who's been doing it, in our case, 100 years,
literally,
they are making money. They are successful. And I think that's one of the things. Everybody that we work with are already good at what they do.
Yeah.
They're profitable. They've been around a long time. They're not going under in the short term, even through the pandemic. They were capitalized enough and flexible enough that they did okay.
Yep.
And so it's very hard to create that sense of urgency when everything is okay, when you're in a comfortable zone. I had a store, and the owner wanted to go to the next level of sales. He wanted unit sales to go to the next level. And the managers absolutely refused to go with him. And I finally, in one-on-one conversations, the managers finally told me that I said, why are we doing these things? And they looked at me and in the most completely honest manner and said, he already makes enough money.
Yeah. Right.
They had decided that his return on investment was adequate. They shouldn't be doing anything more or different to add to his wealth, because they had figured out this is the amount of money he should be making for the investment that he's made in the organization.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's no sense of urgency here. There's not even a sense of pain or discomfort around what the owner wants.
Yeah.
He's making good money. The change is he should be happy.
Right.
He should be grateful and appreciative
of
what we're producing for him now.
Well, and I have some college friends that probably would agree with those managers and say, yeah, rich people, they got enough money. The problem is that business that stays static like that and isn't concerned about growth and improving and figuring out new ways to reach new customers and take care of their current customers better, they die. So everybody loses their jobs eventually. The lunch money does get taken. So creating urgency, point number one, makes tons of sense. So what's the second failure point?
Well, the second failure point that he talks about is not creating make sure I get the language right, not creating a powerful enough guiding coalition.
Not creating a powerful enough guiding coalition.
Yeah. And when I think of that, I think of, I always called it the change army. Who's in your change army? Who have you recruited to go with you on this journey?
Mm.
And so that comes into play.
So the first thing that this made me think of, and this is a little weird, but there's a store I used to work with that it was the owner, the business owner, and one of his chief lieutenants, who wasn't a chief lieutenant yet, but he saw a lot of promise in this guy. And I remember the chief lieutenant, by the time I met him, was his right hand man. He was the guy taking the hill. And it came out over the course of getting to know these guys that one of the points that had been so crucial early on was that the business owner had taken a drive with this future chief lieutenant on purpose to basically sit side by side in a vehicle, knowing that they'd have a drive ahead of him, and talking him out of an affair. And it was a workplace affair. It was like, this is going to go bad for you. You don't want to do this. This is a heart-to-heart from your boss. And loyalty was earned in that moment. It was all about trust. In the future, whoosh, just lockstep with each other. And whatever that urgency would have been that the business owner brought to the attention of his coalition, it was just a slam dunk in terms of the guy buying in. So I don't know if that's a good example for, that's kind of a personalized example, but is that the kind of stuff that the book talks about?
It does. It also talks about first followers, who's on the team. And the way I always looked at it is, okay, so you as the leader of the change, you're going to go in, you're going to make this big pronouncement. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then you're going to leave the room. All right. And there will be a conversation after you leave, and there will be there's four types of people left in the room when you leave. There are the critics, people who are just like, this is the dumbest thing I ever heard. They're my favorite, the victims.
Yeah.
He's only doing this to punish me.
Right.
This is his chance to change this and get rid of, it's all, it's personalized.
Push me out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pushing me out. He wants to make my life miserable. He just stays up all night thinking how to make me miserable. And this change is going to do that. And then there's my other favorite, the bystander, the guy just standing there going, and we hear this all the time, right? So they'll take you aside in the hallway and go, all right, just lay low. This too will pass.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
If we just stand on the sidelines, don't do anything different, he'll come up with a new idea next week, and we won't have to expend any energy on the idea that he's got this week.
Right.
And then there's the last category, which is the navigator. And so the navigator is the person who's like, okay, I see where this could be beneficial. And they're the one that ultimately become your first follower. And they're the ones who, when you leave the room, that you need to continue to sell your idea. Otherwise, the critics, the bystanders, and the victims will win. And they will just destroy your idea while you're not there. And then you'll notice when you come back to the room that nothing's changed.
So sometimes this is about the group that you have around you that trust you, that can lead the charge. Sometimes this is about seeing who would be those people and continuing to invest the change mantra in them of what you're trying to accomplish.
Oh yeah. When I was leading volunteers, we had something we called old fartitis. So old fartitis was the old fart in the back of the room that you knew was going to oppose change.
Yeah.
Whatever idea you had, it was going to be opposed, and so they were stricken with this terrible ailment. One of the keys to negating old fartitis was to bring them in the loop before anybody else.
Yeah.
Right, to acknowledge the wisdom. Listen, I know you've been around a long time. You've seen a lot of stuff. Here's what I'm thinking about doing.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Yeah. And so the goal was to get them on board, because if they were on board, it was easy, right? Because everybody kind of would look to them and they go, this has merit. And sometimes it would mess with people because they were never for anything. and all of a sudden they're for an idea and they're going, okay, he's for it. I'm always the opposite of him.
Yeah.
Should I be against this idea?
Right.
So I mean, it was that stark. The minimum that I hope to gain from that one-on-one conversation would be neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked it out. I understand you're still not on board with me on this. Can I just get you to become a bystander?
Yeah.
Not work against it, and let's see if we can make this happen.
Yeah.
And that was the fallback position. If I can't get you to champion it, can I get you to at least not undermine the change that we're trying to make here?
Okay, so we've got creating a sense of urgency, forming a powerful coalition, the first two. You mentioned these bystanders as at least being neutral. And to be fair to those bystanders, I mean, I've seen the flavor of the month about 1,000,000 times. We sort of cast this halfway vision and they go, this too shall pass. So give us the third failure point, because I think it really speaks to that.
Well, I think the third one is what Cotter says is under communicating the vision by a factor of 10. So not, yeah, I always like that. And he's got a lot of stats in this book that are kind of interesting, but yeah, by a factor of 10. So, we have seen this so many times.
Mm-hmm.
You go in and the owner, the leader of change is just distraught.
Yeah.
I came up with this idea, nobody's doing it, and we'll ask, because we're great coaches, we'll ask, so what ways did you communicate this? Well, I sent an email, and then you go,
I had a meeting one time.
yeah, we had a kickoff, and then they went back to just doing the stuff that they were doing.
Yeah, how about that? But I do think that when I've seen this happen in organizations, it is that initial moment where the leader assumes that they have done their part. It's just, gosh, we even went to a local place where we had a catered dinner. I passed out T-shirts that day with the slogan for the new thing we were going to do. And the thing that I notice over and over again is that one moment feeling like it was an event instead of a habit. Mm-hmm. In other words, you create the vision for the change, not by having this one great speech. It's the elevator pitch that you're giving every day. You're bringing this up to somebody, talking about it over and over and over again about how this vision could transform the company or the organization or what have you. So it's the fact that it's not a habit, it's an event, I think is a big part of that failure.
Oh yeah. I've even talked organizations out of having the event.
Yeah.
I've seen them try so many things and launch so many things and let them fall to the wayside that not launching it, not having an event would be the most effective course of action. Yep. Let's just go out and start talking about it. Let's go out in small groups, one-on-one, and let's actually start to do some of the things we'd like to see done different. And then at some point we'll circle back and go, you guys may have noticed, and then we'll talk about some of the things that we're already doing and then what our next steps could be. But yeah, people are so jaded to the event, and there's such a finality to it as far as the person leading change goes. Right. It feels so good, and they were cheering and they leapt to their feet and they said, we're with you. And so the leader goes on to the next change, and so it's a false hope that's given by the event.
Yeah.
So, and it negates it undersells how much work is involved in leading change. And when you think about this, a factor of 10, increase your communications by a factor of 10.
Yeah.
That means unless you are so sick of hearing your own voice talk to people about this, you're not doing it enough.
That's it. That's exactly it. Most industries that I have worked in, academia might be the exception. I've noticed that their emails are lengthy and multiple, but every other industry under-communicates. And so this is your chance to amp that up in every way, the informal conversations, the formal conversations, what you put into the newsletter, what you put into the blog post. So 3 things today about creating a climate for change, creating a urgency of some kind, forming a powerful coalition, and creating a vision for that change. Future episodes will talk about sort of how do you engage the people and get them at least empowered or enabled to make the change, and then keeping it going after that. Once you're implementing it, how do you keep it going? So anything else, Mike, as we wrap up this first of probably 3 episodes?
No, I would, one of the things I encourage my managers to do and leaders to do is to rate themselves. So, and our listeners can do that. So go online, print out Cotter's 8 steps to change, and then just be honest and think about your most recent change effort or one that you're engaged in right now.
Yeah.
And beside each one, give yourself an A, B, C, D, or F. Right? Just be honest and say, yeah, man, I built a nice guiding coalition. I got a nice group of people here. I'm going to give myself a B plus.
Yeah.
When it comes to communicating this thing, yeah, D minus.
Yeah, I did it one time.
I talked about it one time. I let it go. So I think the first step is awareness of self-awareness of your effectiveness of how you're doing, leading a current change or a change that you recently attempted to make.
Great stuff. Well, I am looking forward to this because it's so practical. I think it's really going to help a lot of people. And I happen to have some clients right now who are saying, we really need change in our organization. No surprise there. But I think this is really going to help a lot of my current client base. So I'm glad we're doing this, Mike. And I guess we'll wrap it up for this week.
I love it. Let's see what our announcer has to say today.
And that, I guess, is that. It doesn't take a genius. No rights reserved, nothing trademarked, copyrighted, or even original. Feel free to give it to anyone, anytime, using any and all media formats. Warning, Mark and Mike may or may not make another one. I'm your announcer, and I did not get paid a nickel to do this. They won't even let me tell you my name. So until next time, if there is a next time, stay safe, be well.